What's going on, everyone? I'm Travis Brown. I'm on location today. I'm here in Aggie Park. Just got done doing some interviews over at Kyle Field, and when Nick Starkel is available, you grab Nick Starkel. That's him over there, former Texas A&M quarterback. He comes on here every week to break down a little bit of what's going on with the Texas A&M football team. Nick, how's it going? How is Corona Del Mar this week?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We've got senior night versus Huntington Beach. So we're excited about that. Going to celebrate these seniors and send them off correctly.
I like that. I like that. So a big conversation going on with Texas A&M football lately has been clock management, what that looks like, some of the decisions that are made. You of course know a little bit about not only clock management just with football, but Jimbo Fisher's mindset a little bit on that. What is that mindset on clock management and the way that you need to manage a game?
Yeah, Coach Fisher has a really unique, real like ideology towards clock management. Something that he always talks about in the keys to victory is winning the middle 8 of a game. And what he's talking about is those middle 8 minutes, the 4 minutes before halftime and 4 minutes after halftime that come together to form basically 2 drives where if you elect to defer to the second half and you can time it out to where you end with the ball in the first half, you could get 2 drives hypothetically on a team to where you've got 2 opportunities now to go score. You could put a team completely away. If you already have a 1-score lead and then you go out, score right before half, get the ball back, score again after halftime, you're pretty much burying a team. Now, a lot of that is indicative of how your team's playing, how their team's playing, the momentum of the game, injuries, how your quarterback's seeing it, how much timeouts you have, how your defense is playing. It comes down to a lot of different things. And so some, coaches would say, all right, if I've got a lead in the first half, I don't need to fight and scratch to get the ball back right now. I can say, hey, look, defense can come out, stop them real quick. We score. We're good. That's how you win the middle 8. If you don't get the ball, or, hey, come back out there, offense. We're going to get you guys ready at halftime. Come back out with the first drive coming out, going and scoring, and then you're up 2 scores. And so his ideology of that really revolves around just playing well in the moments that some teams kind of fall asleep. Like coming out of the locker room, it's a weird feeling coming out of a locker room at halftime because you're not sure if you should do a full warm-up again. And so you try to warm up a little bit, and then everyone is rushed right to the sideline because you got to kick it off and go. And so you're not really sure. So some guys definitely are caught sleeping, not ready for that opening kickoff or that opening drive. And if you are, you can take advantage of a team, definitely.
Yeah, and so there's instances too where, as Jimbo Fisher has, you might not take a timeout to try to get the ball back to get that second drive. What goes into maybe some of that, making that decision to take a timeout, not take a timeout, and whether you take the ball into the locker room or try to give it one more go?
Yeah, so I think a lot of that has to do with how you are playing offensively or how the opposing team is playing defensively. If you know, hey, look, we might be up. Offense hasn't really been moving the ball that well. Probably going to have to be throwing it if you want to do a little 2-minute drill before halftime. And you're thinking, hey, other team still has their timeouts. Last thing we want to do is be reckless with the ball or go a quick 3 and out where we only waste 20 seconds on the clock. Now we're punting, giving them the ball in good field position. And so sometimes it's the confidence of the offense. Sometimes it's the lack of confidence in an offense or the lack of confidence in an opposing team's defense. And so as bad as that sounds, I feel like that definitely plays a part. You've got an opportunity to go talk to your guys, get everyone together and kind of get dialed in on how a defense is stopping you or how you're going to continue to prevent a defense from stopping you at halftime. And without having that real conversation yet at halftime in the locker room, sometimes you just want to say, hey, look, let's just take this lead into the half, come back out and show our adjustments then.
When football is a game of momentum, and it's part of the head coach's job to manage that momentum as well, right?
1,000%. Momentum is probably one of the most overlooked stats. Uh, if you just made a big play on defense, you can expect an offense to go out there and take a shot on their first play. And a lot of the times those plays hit. And so playing off of momentum is also a huge thing.
So, what is the role of quarterbacks, coordinators in clock management, both around halftime and at the end of the game?
Right. So usually your head coach is the only one responsible for calling timeouts. Unless you have a quarterback that's been in the system, that's been the starter for a long time, usually the coach is going to say, hey, look, I'm going to handle the timeouts. You don't ever have to do it. If it looks like we're going to get pushed by, delay a game penalty or something, the head coach will say, hey, I'll be the one that calls it. You don't have to do it, which takes a little bit of stress off the quarterback. But the quarterback still plays a very important part. Quarterback's got to know the down and distance. He's got to know how much time is left on the clock, how many timeouts, and he's got to know point differential, up, down, tied, what's going on, right? And you would be thinking, oh, it's easy. How does a quarterback not know that? Well, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find the clocks while you're going. You don't have it right in front of you like you're playing Madden. But quarterback's got to be ultra, ultra, ultra dialed into that. And that might change a quarterback's way that he operates a play. If it's a 2-minute drill and it's second and 17, the quarterback might not take off and run up the middle, because if he gets tackled in bounds, you have to either burn a timeout to save clock, or you've got to go clock it. And so, spike it, as people would say. And so it changes the way that you're playing quarterback. You want to get the ball out of your hands towards the sideline. That sideline is your friend. Getting out of bounds is going to help you stop the clock. You save timeouts, save time, gives you more opportunities, towards the end of the game. And so that's a huge part, how a quarterback can affect that. How a coordinator can affect that is really calling plays that give you outbreaking routes, that give you opportunities for easy completions past the first downs. And probably the biggest thing is the coordinator and the quarterback understanding, hey, here's why we're calling this play. Yes, it might have some big aspect where we've got, double post on the backside, but hey, we're calling that for that single receiver, 10-yard square out. Just get him the ball, get the first down, get out of bounds, and keep the chains going. And so quarterback, coordinator have to be very, very, very dialed in for a 2-minute drill and to really master clock management.
So here's a question I've always wondered. If you look on the sidelines, a head coach, coordinators, they have get back guys, those guys that if they get too far in the field, they grab them and they'll pull them back on the sidelines. Is there a clock management get back guy typically on football teams? Is there a guy that's kind of in charge of making sure everybody knows what's going on, or is that usually solely just on the head coach?
So most teams that I've been a part of, and I'm actually the guy at the high school level for us, is we have a chart, and the chart gives you all of the information on, okay, up by this many points. Do you go for 2? Do you kick the PAT? Is it a decision? Up to you. It's got how many timeouts does the opponent have, how much time is on the clock, and how much you need to waste each play, whether you need to run it for 4 seconds or take a knee to basically end the game. And so we've got these charts going that tell us exactly what we need to be at in a situation. And okay, hey, they've got the ball. We've got 3 timeouts. They've got 2 minutes left. Hey, we'll get the ball back with this much time left. And so those charts are super, super important. Each coach kind of has their own chart of what they want, the information that they want to know in terms of, all right, do we have a chance to get this ball back if I use my timeouts properly? Or, hey, can we prevent them from getting the ball back if we take a knee and based on the time left in the game? And so every coach is going to have somebody that does that. Usually it's director of like player personnel. Sometimes it's not a pure like position coach or something like that, but it's someone that the coach trusts, because you're trusting them with your life when they finally get on that headset or they finally come over to you and are like, hey, you need to burn one here. Okay, fine. I'm doing it right then. And so that's a huge portion of of being a head coach is being able to have somebody that has that chart. And I've got the chart up in the box, and I've messed up one time. I didn't bring the chart to one game, and we scored, and we're like, okay, are we supposed to go for it here, or are we supposed to kick it? And we ended up going for it. We made the 2-point conversion, and then when I got back, I found the chart that I had forgotten to bring, and the chart said it's the decision, so you could go for it or you could kick it. And so I felt like we were okay.
So we're talking about kind of game management, some stuff on the sidelines. A thing that's come up in college football right now is sign stealing, giving signs on the sideline, what it looks like for the other team to try to pick those off, and even moving into technology where they'll be like the NFL and putting just the comms in the quarterback's head, so you don't even have to deal with that anymore. What is that kind of battlefield like on the sidelines between, a play caller, the guys are calling in the plays, the other team is sign stealing? And we're not even talking about the using technology, the illegal stuff, but the kind of legal sign stealing. What does that battle look like on football sidelines?
Right. So one of the coolest things about playing quarterback and playing really college football in general is every offense has their own unique sign language. They've got their own full language that they've developed based on, formations, motions, plays, tags, everything like that. And it really is your own language. You guys are the only ones that speak it. Your defense doesn't really know what's going on. Your O-line might not even know what's going on because they're just hearing the call, or, running backs might not know it. And so as a quarterback, you develop this basically ability to decode or really communicate with something you've never done before. And a lot of those signs are kind of obvious, and it's clear to see, okay, they're looking directly at this person. If you stand behind, if you're an opposing team and the quarterback is on the 50-yard line and you are as well, and you see him directly looking at the 50-yard line, and there's somebody that's doing all these crazy signals, you'd probably be thinking to yourself, this guy's probably getting his signal from the guy standing on the 50-yard line. I don't know. I don't speak their language, but maybe I could get something out of it. And then, opposing coaches, they start to look over at the same place where you're looking as a quarterback, and they start to get a couple of things going. And then all of a sudden, that defensive coach is yelling out your play and what's going on. And you're like, hold the phone. How does this guy know what's going on? Some opposing coaches, I don't know how, but I have heard opposing coaches call out our exact play call. Hey, that running back's going to switch sides in the backfield. We got a screen to the left. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, we should probably call a timeout here because this coach knows exactly what's going on. And the ways that you combat that are, we've got massive like drapes that we would use and we'd hold up. And then as QBs, we'd hold towels and we would basically shield off to where the only person that could see our signaler was the quarterback. And that happens everywhere. That is just part of the game. Some coach on the defense, usually like an analytical guy or a graduate assistant, is sitting there and he's going, well, I know this guy's a signaler. I might as well be writing down some of his signals and what goes on. Like, that's just part of it. And so I think that college football is they're a breath away from being in ear with the radios, which they should be. It makes so much more sense.
So we'll make one more pivot here, and A&M just came off the off week after that Tennessee loss. I think there's probably a lot of ideas in fans' mind of what off week looks like, especially on a loss that I think to a lot of people might look like the old Junction days, going back and working out 24/7. What does off week look like, and then the game week leading up to the next week for the players who are involved?
Yeah, so off week is really a time to, if you are injured or if you're hurting, it is a time to heal and to get some opportunities back in the rhythm of things in terms of an offense, in terms of getting a little bit more reps that you might not have been getting. And so mainly an off week it's still a practice week. It's still a practice week that you don't really shut down on like a Thursday, Friday before a game. You'll usually have still a pretty tempoed practice, and then you might just get Saturday, Sunday off. But first 2 days, typically you're in there. You're not necessarily focused on the next game, but you're just focused on how we operate. Hey guys, this is an area that we haven't been good at. Hey, we're gonna work on IDing mics and stuff today, and we're gonna focus on all of our previous games. We're gonna focus on all of those protections and just trying to correct some of those things that were going on, and really getting dialed with the things that you need moving forward in a season to be successful. And so you focus on that a little bit. Towards the end of the week, you start to introduce your next opponent. So they start to introduce South Carolina probably on Wednesday. Hey, here's their base coverages, some of their base blitzes, defensive fronts that they've been running. We're going to show you guys them at practice today with the scout team. You get a little bit of your game plan of, hey, this is what we're going to be operating in, personnel, formation, play specific plays. Practice hard all the way through, and you are lifting there during the bye week. That's for sure. That's a great way to get rid of soreness too, is to actually go out there and lift, because you haven't been doing it a lot. And you come back in the next week, already got a little bit of knowledge on the team, a little bit of knowledge of what you're doing, fired up, ready to go. And that game day can't just get there fast enough.
For sure. And so I think fans will want to know if the offense is struggling a little bit, the offensive line is struggling a little bit, the defense is having some issues. How much of those things can actually get fixed during an open week, or is it just kind of continuing the grind as you were in the year? I think people can think it's like a whole new fall camp in a bye week. How much can actually get done in a bye week when there's glaring deficiencies in a team?
Well, in terms of actual change, it's a little difficult to get everything done in a week, but it is an opportunity for guys to take a look in the mirror and say, all right, this is who I thought I was going to be. This is who we are. This is who I am right now. Am I doing everything that I can right now to be who I thought I was going to be, or be who I wanted to be? And so it honestly, it does a lot more for the player's mentality than it does for players like physicality or schematically or anything like that. It's more of like a mental reset of, okay, this is a good moment to pause, look back at where we wanted to be, and now we can see where we are. Hey, look, everything's still ahead of us. We're 4 or 5 plays away in a couple of games from being really in the conversation still. And I know that's frustrating as a team. You're probably frustrated to hear that, but you've still got a lot to play for, and you've got meaningful games to play for towards the end of the season.
For sure. So we'll close it out with this. A&M's hosting South Carolina, the battle for the Bonham Trophy. Any funny South Carolina memories from your playing days? Anything that comes off the top of your head?
Oh, I'm already laughing about this one. So there might have been a quarterback that I lived with, and we went up to South Carolina, and we were playing against South Carolina. In pregame, we're tossing the football around, and he's like, "Man, this cheerleader's really cute over there." And I was like, "All right, well, you gonna give her your number?" It's like, "Dude, we're on the field. Like, I think I have to, but I don't know. I don't want Coach Fisher to see." And so he went into the locker room, wrote his number on a note card, put it in his wristband. We went back out there, and he goes, "Throw me one deep, like really deep into the cheerleaders." And I threw him one into the cheerleaders. He like dives for it, pops up, says hi to the girl, takes it out, hands her the wristband with the phone number on it, winks at her, and then walks away. And after the game, we don't check our phones before or during the game. And so after the game, we checked his phone, and sure enough, he had a text from her. And I'm not going to tell you which quarterback that was. A lot of people will probably assume who it is, and they'll probably assume right. But yeah, Coach Fisher, I think, found out about that one in the QB meeting room the next day and was pretty fired up at us, and did not like that we were doing that pregame.
Oh, that's epic though. I mean, and he got the text back.
Oh,
That's all.
he got the text back and everything.
I mean, that mission accomplished. So anyway, hey, thanks so much for joining us again this week. I think you mentioned senior night. Do you have any senior quarterbacks this week with the Sea Kings?
We do. Senior quarterback Caleb Annette. He's committed to Boise State right now. We're fired up for him. He had a really strong game last week, and we're looking forward to him ending on a high note.
That's awesome. Hey, that's Nick Starkel, former Texas A&M quarterback, breaking things down like he does every week. Thanks so much for joining us again, Nick, and be sure to check theeagle.com as we continue to set the stage for that South Carolina game Saturday.